Hello everyone and welcome to SLR Season 16, and we are at round 2 today in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and with me is CM Punk. How are you doing?
Yes, hello, I'm doing well, and I'm pretty sure that this is round 1, is it?
I
Tier
don't think
2, but
so,
the
unless
round
my...
is
We raced
the
last week.
the stream profile picture is like round 01. So I'm not
Is it
sure what we're doing
actually?
right
Well,
now,
we did
honestly.
Bahrain
Yeah,
last week, unless I'm going mad.
maybe it was tier 1 or something else. I mean, the title of the stream doesn't even says what round it is. Nobody knows that.
Well, it
So
is
yeah.
round 2 because, unless I'm going mad, we definitely had Bahrain last week. So,
Okay, okay. So we'll see about
but
that.
it does
I
say
didn't see any
round.
results.
It does say round 01 on the thumbnail.
Do we have? Yeah, it was like a pre-show or something because there wasn't even any kind of results
Well,
from the first
here
round.
I'm
So
looking at tier
yeah,
1, wrong tier.
season
So
opener
here's
then.
tier
Season
2.
opener.
Yeah, there were no results, so it's like it never happened. So we don't know who won the last race. We obviously know who won the tier 1 race. That is Justin. That's obvious. Uh, but yeah, I guess we're that professional that we just erased it from our memories. We're starting again, folks. Hopefully it's not raining in the middle of the desert like it was last night. Although some drivers might like that, as we're about to get into qualifying. And
Yeah.
yeah, let's go on over to the track.
Las Vegas. What a track to begin the season with. Usually met at the ending stages of the season. We're now opening the new season with Vegas and the famous track layout nicknamed the Pig. The reasoning is the track literally looks like a pig from the sky. So yeah, interesting place to begin the
Does it?
season of Tier 2. Yeah,
Oh,
I
it
mean, have you
does.
even
It's
seen this one?
upside down.
Yeah, it's like upside down
I can never
pigs.
unsee that now. It's got 2 legs,
Yeah.
and well, it's actually got
How
4
come you
legs, but
never?
you can only see
How come
2.
you never heard about
Nah, I've never heard that. That's insane.
it? Yeah, since they announced the track, I was like seeing all these memes, like they're gonna be racing in the United States of pigs. Like, what the hell is this?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I've turned the stream upside down, so now you can actually see what the pig actually looks like. And let's turn that back round because we don't want to be watching the race in reverse.
Pig POV. So yeah, we do have 18 drivers here with us, so it's a pretty stacked season opener. Let's hope we can keep this amount of people
Round 2.
all the way through till the end, as we have multiple drivers and multiple teams. We have some brand new names joining us this season. We have some old veterans that know these tracks better than most of us. So this is going to be definitely a season to look out for as we begin 16th season of SLR, and the first qualifying session has now gone underway. We've got some pretty heavy traffic in the second hoof of the famous Las Vegas pig as Mercedes has went wide. What happened there?
We don't need corner names now. We can just refer to it as
Yeah,
pig
we do
pig
have
parts. This is where you
hoof.
get the
Yeah, we have
bacon from
hoof
this
one.
corner.
We got hoof one, hoof two, the nose, the
Belly.
butt, or the tail, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we got plenty of those spots on the Las Vegas track, as the real F1 will be coming there shortly after us this weekend. So let's see, what are we supposed to be expecting. A lot of drivers are going to begin their hot lap in a minute, and this track is very how do I say this? It's a very unique track. A lot of very, very long straights. So this is gonna be a track during which you have to manage your ERS very well. You have to manage your battery. You have to manage your fuel very well, because the usage of the fuel will be a bit more difficult than a bit more tougher than some other tracks, because you have a lot of these long straights. Drivers will have to focus on these aspects much more than on, for example, fighting in the corners, as the corners, well, there are some of them, but they're not too difficult to go through. The biggest focus will be on strategy points and managing your resources. These will be the most difficult aspects of the qualifying session and the race. that is ahead of us. Of course, the quali is important to keep your car on the track in between the white lines and get these quarters done as smoothly as possible. But who's going to be the best? We're going to find out in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and there are some corners with curbs that you really want to avoid, particularly going around the sphere, which we've just seen Piggy do. And it's a new track, it's a pretty new surface as well. It's lacking a little bit of grip where you want it most, especially in these high-speed corners. And don't forget, the longest flat-out section, the F1 calendar, which now replaces the back straight, or the home straight actually, at Baku. It is just a bit longer than that. And you might see some teammates trying to utilise the slipstream as well to gain those extra tenths in the qualifying session. Piggy's coming into the final corner. Really, really difficult to spot your braking zone. Tiny little braking markers boards into the biggest braking zone of the track. You don't want to miss it because you're off into the runoff area. Especially in the race when you're side by side with someone, you could easily miss it if you switch off. 32.5. Pretty standard banker lap as John Wick goes fastest with a 0.5.
And you know who does have a very high chance of winning in this race that he doesn't usually have? Keyboard Magnussen. Oh, we have some first yellow flags. In the first sector, we have a Williams stuck somewhere in a runoff area. He's going to come back to the track slowly because Keyboard Magnussen has arguably the biggest chance of winning on the entire calendar because you have a track that doesn't really require you to go through these difficult corners. You just go straight ahead, and that is where Keyboard Magnussen could be dangerous, as he is currently sitting at P2, just 1600th of a second behind John Wick. So it's a pretty decent time from him, as the 10 drivers has already made a time on the board, while 8 are still battling to do so. And John Wick still sitting untouched at provisional pole position. The Red Bull driver Vertier goes P11 so far. 3 drivers in the pits. Lepson trying to make it count. Where's he going to go? He's going to go P4. Ever Snacks goes P3, close to Keyboard Magnussen, but Wick is still untouched. Ocean Chief trying to finish the lap, but it's going to be not a pretty one, with Tilde also going for a time. Also P12, so not the best from him. Horizon is also on a quick lap, but this doesn't look too good for him as of right now. We'll see where he's going to go.
Yeah, he's getting slipstream.
Ocean Chief is going to be the next man to put a time on the board in that Ferrari from P18. Where is he going to go? He's going to go into the pits. So he's not going to put a time on the board. Horizon is still on a quick lap. I believe he's the final driver who is trying to put a quick lap right now and come together. Is he going to make it? 12 minutes to go. McLaren driver on the final corner, around the first hoof. And he does cross the finish line to go P1 with a pretty big advantage and narrowly avoiding
Nearly
that
wipes him out.
Jesus, who was that on the start
Boosted
line?
mess.
That was risky. Yeah, he barely avoided him. But what a great time from Horizon, getting 0.3 of a second faster than John Wick and Keyboard Magnussen. So that was a great time from Horizon. Of course, Wick and Magnussen will surely try to win this back. We also got a couple of drivers who didn't put a time on the board quite yet. Those are Vix Reed, Eden, Larson, and Ocean Chief. So we'll see what they got in storage. But the first couple of minutes of the qualifying session leads us to believe that Horizon is so far favored to go for pole.
Yeah, you say that, but Lepson set his lap on the medium, so he's only 0.6 off on a slower compound, so he'll be happy about that result.
Absolutely. Then again, we'll see how much he will get closer towards Horizon, maybe possibly ahead of him once he switches to a set of fresh, soft tires. That is a mystery we're going to unfold later on as John Wick hits the track, and I believe he's already on a flyer lap as his battery is down to 30%. This battery management is going to be really useful during the race because it's so easy to burn your whole battery in just one lap. As John Wick heads into the pits, he believes that he will not improve on this lap, so he aborts the attempt. We do have Magnetic on the track on a quick lap, so he will be most likely the next person to cross the finish line unless he decides to abort the lap like his teammate did moments ago. Magnetic around the final corner during the first hoof of the Las Vegas Pig, and he goes P6, being half a second away from the current provisional pole position sitter. We have multiple cars hitting the track right now. The only person who didn't make a time yet and is still in the pits is Larson. You have some yellow flags, but this is nothing too serious as of right now. It's pretty hard to crash in here except for a couple of moments. You do have a couple of corners where if you don't put your foot off the pedal, you can easily shunt the wall in a way that you just totally rip your entire wheel off. So you have to be very careful in those specific corners. You do have one of those in that pig nose around the second sector where the DRS is open. So this is one spot that should be driven through very carefully if you don't want to lose your front wheel, as we have a yellow flag in sector 1 caused by a Ferrari. Went a bit too wide in there.
I'm going to keep an eye on Keeble Magnussen here, who's just starting a lap. We can ride on board with him for the whole lap. Braking just after the curb on the right there starts. You've got to keep it close to this wall on the left, and then earlier than that, ideally on the right, you can take this all the way flat out. And as you come down to the next corner, you want to keep an eye out for the 150 metre board braking just after the 100, just about here. Perfect from Keyboard as he chucks the car in, slow in, fast out, straight on the power. Look for the third brake marker board, the 50 metre board there. Dab the brakes ever so slightly. You don't want to lock up and you've got to turn in early. That's the dangerous curb. You've got a bit of oversteer from that. If you're not careful and you keep your foot in that situation, you will be in the wall. And he's negotiated that bit of the track quite nicely. Quite hard to judge when to turn in. Now this is a bit scary sometimes, especially coming round here in the wet. You've got to get it down into third gear and on the power even before you're straightened up, just to get that perfect exit. He has got a purple sector 2 and he's ever so slightly up on his time by a couple of hundredths of a second. He's going to get a nice bit of slipstream that was probably unplanned, since it was his rival John Wick who is giving him that slipstream. Into this corner, braking just before the 100 metre board, straight down into third gear, on the power as soon as possible. You can take all of that bit flat out as soon as you come through the first apex. Now keeping an eye on the pit wall. He's used all his ERS so far, hugging it nice and close to the wall, and it will be pole position, only just though.
Yeah, and Verge also jumps highly as he gets himself up into P3, only 1/10 of a second away from a provisional pole sitter that is now Keyboard Magnussen. John Wick has been degraded down to P5 after multiple drivers have made their lap times matter, and we can see a couple of yellow flags. This one is most likely caused due to a lack of fuel because it's moving through the sectors. It's now in sector 2 and it's most likely Williams or an Alpine. I believe it's Alpine that is slowly going through sector 2. So now the question is, who's going to challenge for pole position? We are waiting for some improvements from Prost, from John Wick, of course, who was sitting for a pole position for a short moment of time. He's now down to P5. We will have some attempts from the back as Lepson almost makes it count. He closes the gap heavily, but he's only up until P3 as he goes 50 hundred of a second, I believe, away from pole position, as he's right behind Horizon and Keyboard Magnussen. The top 4 is extremely close, and now we have to wait what is John Wick and Prost are going to do, because this could be big game changer in the fight for provisional pole position, as we're almost done with the qualifying session. John Wick coming around the corners to go for the final straight. Is he gonna put a time on the board with improvement or head into the pits? As he does try to make it count. And P3 respectable, but definitely not what he was looking for. Only 0.004 of a second faster than Lepson, so the gaps between the top 5 are absolutely minimum. Now we'll see who's gonna get closer to them and who's gonna be the best from these guys fighting for the top right now.
Yeah, it's very, very close between the top 4. And Wisso Will is not on a lap. He was deploying, but he's got no fuel left, so that wouldn't be very helpful.
Yeah, the fuel management is also pretty tough around here, especially if you want to risk it and go for a low amount of fuel during the qualifying session. Then you have to remember that you're going to have a lack of it once coming back to the pits, as Vix Reed has retired from the qualifying session with 5 minutes to go. Larson still didn't put any time on the board, as he's sitting at P18 at the very bottom of the session. John Wick, who is currently on his outlap, as he does have a full battery in stock.
In-lap,
we have Eversnax. In lap. So we're still waiting for drivers who are possibly going, but it's only Snacks on an out lap. Piggy, who is, I believe, on a hot lap. So Piggy should be the next one to try to improve. Will he succeed as he's coming around? No, he's gonna head into the pit lane, is he? Yep, he's coming into the pits. So he's not gonna try to improve. We do have a second Red Bull on the track, Vertier, but he's just beginning his out lap, and Snacks has just begun his quick lap. So Snacks is probably the only person right now to do a hot lap. He's gonna improve from that P7. He's 4/10ths of a second away from a pole sitter, Keyboard Magnussen, and the top boys are coming out from the garage trying to improve, trying to secure their position or improve if it's possible. And now we'll see how this is going to end with 4 minutes left to go. The final round of laps should begin right about now, as Snacks is working on an improvement, trying to get closer towards the boys from the top, as we have some yellow flags for the second McLaren. What happened there with Horizon, as he was stuck there for a quiet moment. We keep on rolling. Snacks is trying to push through the second sector as fast as possible. He does have a car ahead of him. There we go. Vix Reed is back in the lobby, so most likely some kind of issues with connections. He does not pick up the slipstream from V-Carb. He does not want to probably risk another close call with a V-Carb, as McLaren already once had during the session. And he heads into the third sector optimistic, but can he deliver a very decent time? Sitting at P7 at the moment, not the worst position to start. Ooh,
yeah, he's gone too deep. Depending on what he did on his first lap, it may, if he did that before, he may still have an improvement, but we'll see when he comes across the line. It won't be pole, but it will be close. Marginal, the most marginal improvement.
Yeah, that's not gonna matter.
Looked a good lap up until that point.
Yeah. And we have Keyboard on an out lap, Horizon on an out lap, John Wick and Lepson so far in the pits, Verge on an out lap, and Prost on an out lap. So a lot of drivers from the top trying to improve once again.
Horizon and Keyboard have both started laps. Horizon is just behind Keyboard on track. He might get a little bit of slipstream perhaps, although he is quite far away. He's going to get some slipstream there though, off the Haas.
Horizon had to get out of the way a bit. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I saw how he was turning left, and I was like, is he going to slip? Is he going to go into the wall? Because he had a short moment where he lost the traction, but he managed to pick it up. He's still going.
There's the oversteer.
Oh, into the wall.
Yeah, you do not want to get on that curb. That happened to me yesterday, and I was out. So, don't do that. And now he's got to get out of the way quickly.
Horizon.
Oh no!
Are basically dead. Oh my god.
And Magnetic has got into him. Horizon didn't see there was a car behind him. Meanwhile, Keyboard is going on his lap pretty easily. Purple sector 2. He's getting a nice bit of slipstream here as well. And the McLaren trying to break the toe somewhat, but he can't do that for long enough. Let's see if Keyboard can take this last sector nice and cleanly as he gets the braking point spot on. So skillful to do this with modal buttons. The throttle's either on or off, same with the brakes. And now he doesn't lock up. Is quite incredible. As he comes across the line, he's going to improve by just under a tenth. Horizon won't be able to improve. He's got no front wing. Verge is the next closest contender who's going to come across the line just about now. What can he do? Can he put it on pole? And he does! The first man into the 1:30s. And that's an impressive lap from the Alpine. What about the RB, who's just starting his lap now? We'll keep an eye on him. So the others have gone pretty early. Maybe Prost will benefit from that with some better track conditions. We'll have to wait and see.
We do have Wick and Lepson also on an outlap, so these guys will go for one more chance, trying to get closer to a possible front positions, as Verge is now sitting at the top of the mountain untouched. Magnetic has retired from the session, so now we only have a couple of drivers remaining. Prost had a moment and he's out of the session because he invalidated his lap time. He's not gonna get a second chance on this one. Lepson, who is on a quick lap just about now, he began his hot lap with with John Wick still being on an outlap, is about to begin a hot lap. So Lepson and John Wick are two now favorites to challenge the front positions of Verge and Keyboard Magnussen. Can they dethrone the two champions of Las Vegas so far? These guys are magnificently sitting at the top. Who is going to threaten them? Lepson, Wick. We also have Piggy on a hot lap, so possibly he can do something from that P8, but it's Ferrari and Mercedes that are keeping our eyes glued to the screen as Lepson is going for the second sector, and it doesn't look quite well, doesn't look quite bad, honestly, as well. Second and third sector yellow flags as the second Ferrari had some issues there. And now Lepson, can he do it? Can he possibly make that final sector count? And where is he gonna go? The time to beat is 1:30.937 from Verge. Keyboard Magnussen being 0.2 of a second away from him. Where is Lepson gonna put that Scuderia Ferrari in Las Vegas? As the session is basically done, Eversnax finishes P7 so far. Wizawil is done, so is Boosted Mess and Vertier. And now Lepson from the final corner up into P3. Not a pole position, but still decent position.
Yeah.
Now John Wick, the final realistic contender for a pole position in Vegas, as he's sitting at P5, going for the final sector. Can he threaten the Alpine of Verge, or at least the Sauber of Keyboard Magnussen, who are still sitting at P1 and P2? Round the final corner goes the Mercedes. John Wick puts it at P2. It's a front row for Mercedes, but it's Verge who's gonna start in Vegas from pole position. What a qualifying session we had.
Yeah, and we do believe Larson has come across the line to put in his first lap, and he goes P6. That's impressive considering it's his first timed lap of the session. But it's Verge and John Wick on the front row. Exciting qualifying session. Who knows what Horizon might have been able to do had he not had that incident. But he'll be starting P5. And it's all about the strategy here in the race. It's easy to overtake. You've got to make sure you're on the right tyre at the right time, and most people will be going hard medium, if not the reverse. The softs only last around 4 laps, so that's really not a viable strategy.
Yeah, it's going to be very much about a strategy. The safety cars could have a huge amount of importance in this race when it comes to who's going to win this race, as a safety car can flip the whole race inside out. We saw it in real life not quite long ago, and this just might be the case tonight, as it's going to be very important to make the right call at the right moment. And yeah, we'll see if any safety car is even going to pop out, because it's pretty easy to happen, as we saw those couple of scary moments with Horizon in the qualifying session, for example. There's this one corner where it's so easy to crash, and this might as well call out the safety cars. You're gonna have to be careful and make the right call at the right time.
Yeah, and the fact, you know, you're going side by side through some tight corners, most people were running 0 or 1 wings. So keeping the car in a straight line is the #1 objective. Also, if you're starting around P12 to P15, you are literally in the middle of a corner on the starting grid, as you will see in a minute.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the best start, because you have to turn from the first moment of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like OG Formula 1 starts, because they usually had quite a lot of those back in the day, and it's not an easy task to perform, but I mean, come on, if you're trying to be the best, you gotta do what's the best. So we'll see if those guys can keep up. I don't think we're gonna have another formation lap, right? We're just gonna go straight into action, I believe so.
Yep.
That's how it used to be, so let's get ready, because the race can begin at any moment, as the final preparations are being finished right now here in Las Vegas in the United States of America, as we're about to begin the 16th season of SLR. There we are. The grid looks very curvy with Alpine up front. The lights are going red and the lights are off. We're racing.
Oh, John Wick!
A decent start. What is going on?
Yeah, John Wick so slow off the line. He's gone down to third. It's Keyboard Magnussen who overtakes the Alpine. He's into first place in a bright green Sauber car. P4 Horizon, Eversnack. There's all sorts of kerfuffles going down further on the grid. Lepson's dropped all the way down to 10th off the start. He's going to lose another position here, or he's going to gain one on EDN. The bright green car, you can't miss it. But coming in to the first sector, ending the first sector, it's Piggy who has gained a lot, and John Wick has lost out only 2 places now, to be fair. So it's not as bad as we thought it would be. He basically didn't move off the line, so he's done well to keep 3rd place. A bit of a battle going on here between Lepson and Futuristic, as Futuristic is keeping the position ahead of the Ferrari driver, and a bit of a gap opening up between him and the top 7 at the moment.
Yeah, Keyboard Magnussen trying to defend from Verge, but the Alpine driver really closing in on the Sauber as they go in for this very tight and narrow wall that they have to avoid in order to keep the car on the track. Larson, who lost 12 positions right off the gate, and we do have some movements in the midfield as Lepson has just overtook the Williams of Futuristic to get up into P8. We have yellow flags in the back, but this is because of a visual glitch, I believe, because there was absolutely no one there as we keep on going. And now John Wick jumps into P2 as he makes moves in the top. We do have a very tight top 4 at the moment with Keyboard Magnussen, Wick, Virgin, Horizon. But we have another set of yellow flags. What is this?
Yeah, it's all kicking off. It's all kicking off in the final few corners, coming around the end of the back straight. The track really tightens up around there, and all the cars concertinaing together, with the likes of Ocean Chief and Veer getting into a bit of an incident. Now John Wick back up to 2nd place. Looking at the tyres quickly whilst we've got a bit of a moment. Verch in P3 is on the hard tyres, so that would explain why he's dropped 2 places off the start. Eversnacks as well. Everyone else of significance is on the mediums.
And we did have the first round of pit stops that were forced upon some kind of damage, I assume, as we had Vix Reed, Futuristic, and Aiden heading into the pit stops very early on. So the Kick Sauber, Williams, and Alpine were sent all the way down to the back as we just keep on having this yellow flag in Sector 1 glitch. Just ignore that. It's probably because of some kind of lag at the beginning. And now Verge losing another position. Ooh, that was close. That was so close. I was so afraid that Horizon might just push Verge right into the wall. Thankfully, they avoided the collision, but that was so close from taking each other from this race as we keep on going. And Horizon is still trying to make a move on Verge, but he has to keep it clean and safe as we have another attempt at overtakes. Horizon, Eversnacks are now lining up. Eversnacks pushing Verge, but he's not gonna push him off P3 quite yet. And he's now gonna try to put the Alpine under pressure once again, but behind the McLarens, we got Lepson and Piggy also fighting each other while trying to fight the McLarens too. John Wick sets the fastest lap. Lepson takes it away, and Lepson was looking for his chance, but he had to back it off. He will try to do it one more time against Horizon, but Horizon is defending nicely for his teammates so far, as Eversnacks has dropped a bit from Verge.
Yeah, and Keyboard Magnussen overtaken by John Wick as well on that back straight as we were watching the battle further back. It's all heating up here for P3, and it's allowing the top 2 to get away, the gap extending towards 2 seconds, which will be sort of a comfort blanket for those 2, although Wirch seems to have very, very good pace, even through this first sector on the hards.
A mistake from Horizon, big one, because he was a ghost for a moment. He had a huge slip up, very close to hitting the wall hard as he lost a lot of momentum and a lot of distance towards his teammate Eversnacks, and is now going to be under pressure from Lepson, because it seems like Lepson is really trying to push this car. Had a bit of a slide right now into the corner, but it's all under control for the Scuderia driver as he's now trying to overtake Horizon. He is looking faster than the McLaren. Can he find enough space to make that overtake happen? He picks up a DRS, and he does make it happen, switching to the left side, now hunting Eversnacks. Can he make it 2-for-1 special? He was thinking about it, but no, he's gonna back it up for now. He's gonna defend his position safely as Horizon seems to be really struggling. Bumping wheels with Piggy, and he bounces off the wall as well.
Yeah, really bad few corners there for the McLaren driver as Lepson is storming through the field. Eversnacks, the gap is now for the top 3, and it's Eversnacks as Virch has set the fastest lap. That is, you know, Eversnacks is outside the DRS zone, and it's all kicking up. There's so much going on. Insane.
Yeah, Prost picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in a pit lane area. As now Lepson, again, like you said, trying to storm through the field. He's now behind Eversnacks, and he seems like he really wants to get past the McLaren as soon as possible. We have Ocean Chief losing some positions. What was that about? I don't know, maybe it was just a visual glitch for me. But I saw him go down a bit as this glitch in the first sector keeps on appearing as a yellow flag. I don't know why is that. 4 laps since the race has begun, and Lepson already trying to find the best possible way to get rid of Eversnax, but as of right now, we just can't do too much. Piggy sitting on the back of Magnetic, also just waiting for a mistake, and Horizon, you have to wonder what happened, because he had a good start, but he just seems to be struggling heavily as the race progresses, and it's just very hard, difficult for the McLaren to make it safe and sound, as Lepson does get past Eversnax. So the Scuderia Ferrari driver is really pushing hard right now, and he's gaining position after position. He's now going to be in a bit of trouble because he won't have a DRS as of right now. He will give the DRS to Eversnax, but he won't have it for himself. So he's going to have to work twice as hard to try to pull away from the McLaren, if that's even a possibility for him. Keyboard Magnussen is also looking for a possible overtake on Wick, but he backs it off. He knows he doesn't have to be hasty. This track is about strategy and patience. This is not a sprint, this is a marathon.
Absolutely. Only a fifth of the way through. And Virch will know that more than anyone, as here comes Keyboard Magnussen now. He's got a better exit out of turn 3. And he's made the overtake into the 4th corner. Virch all over the back of John Wick now too, who is on the wrong line for this corner, but he gets back on pretty nicely. This is Keyboard Madison's chance. If Virch wants to try and make an overtake, maybe Keyboard can run away, so to speak.
And we do have Horizon, who is slowly but surely trying to stick up behind the rest of this train that is ahead of him. He's not the fastest car in this pack, let me tell you that, but he's really trying to stay in the DRS range of Piggy to stick with the rest of the boys. He's just patiently waiting for someone's mistake. We had some action in the midfield between Ocean Chief and Vertier, but that seems to be settled, at least for now. Another switch in the top.
Yeah.
As we have yellow flag.
Oh,
and
VSC.
Safety car. What happened there?
So Virch.
20-second time penalty.
Yeah, Virch should be ahead of John Wick, but he was ahead when the VSC came out, but maybe the game didn't register that, which would be a shame for him, because he was just about to overtake Kjell Magnussen for the lead as well. I wonder if we see any pit stops. Yeah, here comes John Wick. We'll try to go to the end here on the hards. Both the Mercedes are coming in, but no one else.
Yeah, I'm looking for a suspect who caused the VSC. I don't see any broken wings on any of the cars from the front or the back. Oh, there it is, Larson. So the Larson P18 at the moment has lost his entire front wing. That must have been the cause of a virtual safety car, as the both Mercedes are now heading for their pit stops. We got a Wick out of the pit lane. We got Magnetic also done with his stop, heading out from the pit lane. We have Tilde heading into the pit stop area as well, as Aston Martin comes in. We will have some more drivers coming in right about now, as Prost hits the pit lane area quite shakingly, but he makes it. Eden also in the pits with his kick Sauber, and we can only expect Larson to get into the pits, as he's struggling to bring this car at least into the pits, as it's really seems to be difficult driving this track around with no front wings. So yeah, Keyboard Magnussen will hold on to the lead. Tilde gets
dear.
What is this? Drive-through penalty, and now Larson gets a 10-second time penalty, as he's coming in most likely to retire. And VSC is already done. We are going green. Keyboard Magnussen leading Verge, as now Lepson heads into P3 after the pit stop.
Yeah, Keyboard Magnussen is not leading Verch for long at all. Here comes Verch. He got a much better restart, and with the slipstream, he is straight past the Sauber and into first position. So the VSC didn't cost him that much, did Verch. We've got to keep an eye on John Wick, and saying that he's past Ocean Chief already. How quick is he going to be on these fresh, hard tyres? And is it the right decision to pit this early? We'll find out towards the end of the race. Chief is not going to give this up, but he realises that John Wick is a little bit faster than him.
Yeah, absolutely, and Lepson is doing quite a nice job pulling away from the McLaren of Eversnax. It's pretty difficult to make a gap here in Las Vegas, as the DRS and the straight lines are very useful, but it seems like Lepson is absolutely pushing it to just try to stay away from the McLaren, to not give him a DRS. If he would be able to drop the tail of Eversnax, Piggy, and the Horizon, that would make it so much easier for him. As I was saying, that Piggy was sliding almost sideways in the track. Thankfully, he just about saved it, and is gonna keep going after Eversnax, but that's the fuel for the engine of Horizon, who is now pushing even harder, trying to get away to trying to get close to his teammate. Another slip up from Piggy. The Red Bull driver is now heavily struggling with the traction as here comes Horizon to the left side. Not gonna make an overtake just about yet, but Piggy has dropped significantly towards Eversnax, struggling again. Is this some kind of damage on the Red Bull? Or is this just some kind of issues of Piggy with the track because he's struggling heavily later on? And here comes Horizon to finally make use of those mistakes of the Red Bull driver. And he does make an overtake as Boosted Mess has left the session. They're sitting at P14 at the moment. And Verge is trying to build a gap of over 1 second over Keyboard Magnussen. He burned a lot of battery. He's down to 15%, but he did manage to do that. Now, Keyboard has a 30% of battery left to decrease the gap to be underneath 1 second and get the DRS. Can he do it in the time until the back wing will be able to open? As he now has 30% battery left. The gap is about over a second. Sometimes it's about underneath a second. Depends on the corner. Magnussen is trying so hard. He does get a DRS. So Verge plan has failed so far. But Keyboard has to stay on point sharp to keep an eye out for his opponent in Alpine to try to not pull away too far away from him. Peggy tries to regain P5 from Horizon.
Oh, no!
Him in the wall. Oh, no.
Yeah, and his end plate, the end plate of the McLaren goes flying, so Horizon has got damage.
Jesus.
He just pulled over too early there, didn't realise that the McLaren was still alongside.
Aye. That is not how it's supposed to be done. So now, not only now Piggy's going to be struggling, but also Horizon's going to be struggling because of Piggy, because of that maneuver. It's going to be so much more difficult for McLaren to keep a great pace for himself. We don't have too much action in the midfield, which is surprising because usually that's where the good stuff is happening. But so far, only Magnetic is keeping up with Vixt Reed, and most of the fight is handing up front. This is why we usually are showing this part of the layout of the track, as Eversnax has caught up into the DRS range of Lepson, still trying to fight the Ferrari driver John Wick. Definitely closing the gap to the top boys, but not too early. This is a long game of Mercedes. They're trying to extend it. He's trying to go for as early as possible for the pit stop to now try to extend his time. Boosted Mess has rejoined the session as Horizon sees Piggy heading into the pit stop. So Piggy might be doing a planned stop already, might be doing it because of a damage. I wonder which one is the case as Red Bull heads into the pit lane. And he does not change a front wing, so it was purely strategy call for Piggy in a Red Bull as he heads into the pit. The rest of the field from the top is staying out, and Eversnax is really closing in on Lepson right now.
Yeah. Remember that John Wick obviously pit under virtual safety car, so he will be a net 10 seconds-ish ahead of the leaders. It's just about keeping on to that advantage and not losing time being on the slower tyre compound and in traffic. But yeah, the big question is whether he can keep these tyres fresh until the end of the race when he needs them most. So Eversnax on the back of Lepson. Lepson seems to be struggling a bit. He can't really close into the leaders. And look at the gap from Verge already, almost 4 seconds.
Ooh, when did that happen?
And yeah, I wonder if Keyboard made a mistake perhaps, or Verge is just really, really fast.
Could be the case. I can see Piggy trying to close the gap on his opponents up ahead of him. He was already closer to the Alpine, but he dropped significantly after some kind of mistake, so that early pit stop might not be the best one for him if he can't make any kind of usage from these tires. As we have the midfield closing up a bit, we're having less and less space in the midfield. The top still remains the same. John Wick slowly but surely closing the gap towards the rest of the field up ahead of him. Of course, his most difficult task is going to come when the rest of the field will take a pit stop, as we see Vertier from Red Bull and Wizawil from Haas coming into the pit lane right as we speak. Who else is going to come in this lap? Is anybody else going to fight for a pit stop this lap? Maybe? Not sure. Eden already made the stop. Boosted Mess is fighting his internet connection. Prost has made a stop. Tilde, I believe he did make a stop as well. And Larson, of course, he did change the front wing. So that's it. And that will put Piggy up into P10. Horizon will get a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And that's going to be important later on, as he did have a quite big chance for podium since the race has begun. Now this chance is slightly but surely decreasing. It's not done yet, but it's gonna be a big pain in his bottom side when he's gonna cross the finish line to fight for that podium.
Yeah,
Lepson gets 10 seconds.
Yes, Lepson is overtaken. They're both going to go right around the outside in a sandwich, and there's going to be a tussle between the two. Who can get into the next corner first? It will be Eversnax, who gets 2 places in one straight, and Keyboard Madison's down to 4th. I wonder if the medium runners will be pitting this lap. I would pit now if I were Keyboard. Lepson comes in, Keyboard stays out.
Maybe Keyboard thinks that using the DRS of the Ferrari/McLaren is still worth it of staying out. Of course, Lepson also had this option available, but he decided to come in already. As John Wick, he is our comparison point because he was the first man to come into the pits. He was starting to slowly but surely decrease the gap to the boys in the top, so Lepson decided that this is the moment to head into the pits. We have a yellow flag up ahead of us, and that is the Aston Martin, but he keeps it going. It's not going to be the end of the race for Tilde just quite yet, as Verge is just building the gap, extending it. He's very quick here in Vegas, and Eversnax holding on to that P2 so far. John Wick managed to climb back up into P4 after all the pit stops that was happening behind him, and now Lepson 3.8 behind the Mercedes, 3.9. We're gonna keep an eye on the gap between the Ferrari and Wick. Magnetic does have a chance to help his teammate a lot, because if he can put a fight against Lepson from Ferrari, he will be very useful to his teammate John Wick. If he can fight Lepson and just make him get off the racing line, push him a bit harder quite a few times, he will definitely help his teammate, just overall trying to slow down Lepson. But does he have enough pace to fight Lepson, who's on fresh tires? They're still a bit cold, and Magnetic does have a DRS and Slipstream advantage, so he should be able to put up a fight against Lepson as he's closing the gap very, very well. Already less than half a second of a gap. Here he comes, trying to attack from the right, from the left. Where is he gonna go? Tilde retires in the pits, as here comes Magnetic to the left side of the Ferrari, and does get on the inside, and does gets ahead of Lepson. That is gonna be very important for John Wick. He's not driving perfectly for these corners, but that's perfect for John Wick, because all Magnetic has to do now is just keep Lepson behind for as long as possible.
And now Vlad Red as well is going to get past Lepson, is he? Yep, he's going to have the inside line for the first turn, as there's a yellow flag, but he is ahead already, so he can keep going, and that means, as the Aston Martin is parked in the middle of the track, that Lepson cannot re-overtake him at this moment in time. He's not going to do it here either, so Lepson down to 7th. That's really bad for him, because he's going to be stuck between these two guys that haven't pit yet. Well, Magnetic has, but he's on older tyres.
And John Wick is in a perfect spot right now. He does not have a single care about what's going on behind him, as Magnetic and Vlad Red are doing all the work for him. All he has to do now is focus on himself and himself only, as Keyboard Magnussen, he did drop away from the DRS range of Eversnax, trying to recatch this possibility of using a DRS from the back of McLaren, but he just isn't able to do so. Gap is already 1.5 of a second. Keyboard is out of battery, so is Eversnax, as Verge is leading with over 7 seconds worth of gap. Lepson, he does realize that he has to get past Mercedes and the Alpine as soon as possible, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight, possibly 3 men wide, heading into the corner. This is going to be tight. It's now Magnetic who gains P5, and Lepson heads ahead of Vlad Red, so he's up into P6. The Alpine downs to P7. Keyboard Magnussen heads into the pits to make his first scheduled pit stop. And we see that Magnetic keeps his position from Lepson, with Vlad Red sitting right behind the Ferrari. This is going to go all the way down, and this is a very bad news for Lepson.
Yeah, I think Keyboard might be coming out right into the midst of this battle, as we see the bright green car there. He's just ahead. That's pretty crucial for him. If he can extend the gap, he's ahead of the Mercedes, and he can go and hunt after John Wick. Lepson under pressure again here from Vlad Red, but not enough overspeed to get past this moment.
Yeah, if Magnetic can somehow get ahead of Keyboard Magnussen and slow him down, just like he's doing with Lepson, that would be absolutely splendid for John Wick, who is currently on the mission to get that podium for Mercedes with a huge handful of help from Magnetic, his teammate, as he's now trying to stay in the range of Keyboard Magnussen, but Magnussen is, I believe, way too quick on these tires. He does have about the same amount of battery as Keyboard Magnussen does. He's actually keeping quite a good job holding on to the back of Kick Sauber, looking at the difference in tire situation. So Magnetic is trying his best to fight both Lepson and Keyboard Magnussen, while they also have Vlad Red right behind them. Alpine of Vlad is also looking to fight the Scuderia Ferrari of Lepson. Can he do so? They both have DRS. Magnetic looking for a way past, Vlad looking for a way past, but none of them will make a move as we keep on going in this nice snake of 4 drivers driving right behind one another. And John Wick is definitely smiling, looking in his back mirror, seeing that he doesn't have to worry about anything behind him and only about anything ahead of him, as we have some yellow flags in the final sector, most probably caused by a Haas, but that was a short incident. We keep on going. Magnetic, really well done for him, as he manages to close the gap to the Kick Sauber of Keyboard Magnussen every time they go. He does have a DRS advantage. Keyboard doesn't have a DRS, so Magnetic will throw a fight to Keyboard just like he did to Lepson a couple of moments ago. This is extraordinary help for John Wick that he needed, and this is going to come in handy once they cross the finish line in plenty of laps. We are down with 14 out of 25 in this GP, the season opener, and Verge is looking very, very strong. However, does he has to make a pit stop? I need to check that real quick. He does. He didn't make a pit stop yet. Neither did Eversnacks. So it's going to be important where they're going to come out from the pit stop and who's going to be bothering them. Because if Magnetic can somehow pull off the impossible and also hold on to his pit stop until Verge and Eversnacks will come into the pits and slow them down as well, that would be absolutely magnificent for Wick, who would be looking for a possible winner. And as we speak about this, Verge is coming into the pits right now.
Yeah, important part of the race here. Where is Verge going to come out? If he's going to come out in this battle as Lepson is overtaken by Vlad Red, it will determine the race. John Wick is John Wick even going to get the lead? He's coming round the start-finish straight now, and he is behind.
No, he's not going to do it. He's going to be still P3 behind Verge. He's not going to ahead of him. Prost gets a 3-second time penalty. He's not even going to overtake Verge, while Eversnacks remains a race leader for now because he didn't make a pit stop quite yet. So it's basically a great pit stop for Verge. He made a quite nice gap, over 2.5 seconds ahead of John Wick. We'll see if we can somehow close this gap, but looking at the tire situation, Verge is a favorite as of right now to win this GP. Eversnacks will most likely come out of the pit stop somewhere around between John Wick, Verge, and Keyboard. I don't think he's going to be stuck in this battle of Magnetic, Vlad, and Lepson. Lepson, by the way, down to P7 as he was overtaken by Vlad Red, and this is all about those pit stops as of right now, with Eversnacks having to pit, Verge already done with his pit stop, trying to pull away from John Wick right now, so it's a great situation for John Wick and for Verge. Keyboard Magnussen, who was one of the favorites to go for a podium, is now struggling against Magnetic, Vlad Red, and Lepson, as they're all battling for P4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, and Magnetic will have a perfect opportunity to get past Keyboard, who is not deploying ERS. In fact, he's ran out, and they're going side by side into the final few corners, and it's good defending from Keyboard Magnussen, who manages to barge his way through as Vlad Red overtakes Magnetic now, all shaking up at the top of the leaderboard. As Eversnacks comes into the pits, he will emerge behind these guys and add another factor to this battle. Oh, yeah, Magnetic sliding through that corner, ghosting, and he's lost a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, Magnetic has done all he could to help John Wick. This will definitely not help his own race, but he's done incredible amount of work for John Wick. He basically secured the podium for his teammate. As long as John Wick doesn't make a crucial mistake all by himself, he's gonna be P2 at minimum, as now the fight for the podium begins, with Keyboard Magnussen leading the train, followed by Eversnacks and Fresh Tires, who is followed by Vlad Red, Lepson, and Magnetic, who is now dropping away from the DRS range of Lepson in the Ferrari. Can he still rejoin this battle? He technically can. He doesn't have much battery, but they're so tight and so close together that he just might still be in the fight. As of right now, Magnussen, Snacks, Red, and Lepson are the main contenders for the final podium spot. The winner seems to be known already. That is, unless we're going to have some kind of safety car, as Lepson makes his way past Vlad Red once again, and now Snacks makes a move ahead of Keyboard Magnussen. They will most likely still stay in that one long trail, as it's very hard to pull away from someone here in Vegas, as we have some overtakes in the back. Horizon gets himself out of Piggy, and in the meantime, Verge sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Keyboard Magnussen still only the 2/10 behind, but of course, Eversnax on the fresh medium tyres will have as much pace as he needs to pull away if anyone is ever going to be able to pull out of a train here at Vegas. And we will see what happens to John Wick. I do think that Eversnax will get close. Will he be able to take P2? That will be his target.
We have some yellow flags in the second corner, second sector. Someone is standing there. That was Prost. He did lost half of his front wing. This could as well be a VSC, but it's not, as Prost retires on track and he leaves the game. So Prost is done with his race, he says, after losing half of his wing. I'm pretty sure if he would have lost the entire wing, this would have been a VSC, because Larson has made this has had this kind of incident where he lost the whole front wing not so while ago, and he caused the VSC with this one, so this would have probably ended up with the same result if it wasn't for the fact he only broke half of his front wing. So this is a great news for the race leader Verge, because this VSC could have very well trouble his race plan as of right now, and this would have been also bad news for Eversnax, who now has the tire advantage, and if this VSC would have came out, this would have definitely decreased his advantage, as it's still sitting at P3, followed by Keyboard Magnussen very close to each other. And not only Magnetic, but also Vlad Red is out of this battle for podium as of right now. These guys are not fast enough in this current situation with the current resources on these current tires to fight against the boys who are challenging for the podium. So it's going to be Lepson, Keyboard Magnussen, and Eversnax, most likely all the way to the finish, for the podium, for the final spot on the podium, because the two are, as of right now, almost guaranteed. We also have to wait until the checkered flag, because anything can happen in Formula 1, especially in SLR, but it looks like Verge and John Wick will be taking P1 and P2, and now Eversnax, Magnussen, and Lepson will battle it out all the way through to the end. The final spot remaining on the podium, as Eversnax was going very aggressively for these corners. He has to look out, because if he picks up a penalty like his teammate Horizon for the track limits, it's going to be absolutely dreadful when he reaches the finish line. As a third driver, he will finish in at least P5, maybe even P6 with a penalty, so he has to stay careful.
Yep, I think Vlad Red will need to pit again. He's on 16 lap hards, unless he's managing them very well. It was a really bad exit there from Keyboard Magnussen, and now he's got Lepson looking to make the overtake. He is going to gain back some time slightly on Eversnax. Is it actually going to be enough? I mean, Keyboard had an awful exit. He's still gained over a second on that straight to take the lead back again. Brilliant commitment from the Keyboard driver into the hard braking zone. And Lepson is still stuck. It's been a frustrating race for him after his first few early overtakes. He's not been able to make any extra progress, but he's got 2 cars ahead of him still, and he could still come out of the race with 15 points.
Yeah, Eversnax is not done yet, with Keyboard Magnussen trying to regain the position of P3, but as of right now doesn't have enough pace, has to use some Slipstream. Despite having the DRS, it's not going to be enough. It's going to hold it back for now and sit behind the Kicksauber, as Lepson continues to watch this battle unfold. Maybe it's a part of the strategy of the Ferrari driver. Maybe he just wants to sit back, wait for some mistakes of the guys ahead of him, and then strike at the final moments of the Grand Prix. He does realize that anything can happen between Eversnax and Keyboard Magnussen. We saw what happened between Piggy and Horizon when he clipped a bit of his wing off, so this might as well be the case right here in this battle between the Kicksauber of Keyboard Magnussen and the McLaren driver Eversnax, as they keep on racing, battling for this P3, with Lepson watching from the dark, from the shadows, waiting for his chance. Here comes Eversnux once again to the right side, gets the overtake done, opens up a DRS, and Keyboard doesn't have a DRS, but he does have way more battery, over 60% for the Kick Sauber and only 20 for the McLaren, so he's not going to be able to build too much of a gap before Keyboard Magnussen will get close enough to pick up another DRS moment. And Verge makes another fastest lap. This guy is just really doing a Verstappen, pulling a bigger gap every lap, going faster as the race progresses. That is incredible from the Alpine driver, and Verge is looking incredibly strong here tonight in Vegas, with John Wick still being safe and sound at P2, having over 4.5 seconds worth of gap ahead of Eversnack's Keyboard and Lepson as well. Lepson sitting behind 0.7, so the gap is not too close towards the two guys ahead of him. They keep on fighting each other. In the meantime, Magnetic is making a move on Vlad Red, and the second Mercedes driver is trying to make a move on the Alpine, but he does not. So it's Alpine against Mercedes, no matter if it's for P1 or if it's for P6. They are battling it out. Magnetic will wait for his moment, but it's not going to come just yet.
Yeah, there's the 5 laps remaining, so limited chances to make the move, as Keyboard Madison is so close to Eversnacks coming on to the strip once more, and he has so much more ERS. He doesn't really need to even deploy it because he will have the DRS within 1 second. Lepson again just watching and being very cautious, and rightly so. He's in a decent position in P5, and you never know what could happen up ahead as Keyboard doesn't deploy ERS and won't get past this time.
Yeah, and Eversnacks is burning a lot of battery. He's down to 14%. I don't know why is he doing that. I guess he's trying to hold on to the position, but it's not going to matter right now. It's going to matter on lap 25, and once they reach it, Keyboard Magnussen should have a lot more battery, as he does have 76% right now, 80 as I speak, as I'm saying this, and Eversnacks only has about 25, so this is a huge advantage for Keyboard Magnussen when it's going to come to a crucial decision making. So this is going to be big. And Lepson, he keeps on falling behind. He was over 1 second behind those two for a second, so he has to be careful, because if he's going to be too sleepy and he's going to miss out on his moment, he's going to drop out of the DRS, and his chances for podium are going to be gone. He has to focus and stay behind those two. I know what he's doing. He's waiting for a mistake, but he cannot allow himself to drop too far back. He has to stay on him. In the meantime, Horizon makes a move past both Red Bull drivers, as Vertier has also passed his teammate to go up into P9, and now he's going to try to pull away from Vertier despite having a penalty. Ooh, big slip up for Horizon, huge one. He almost went sideways, but he managed to somehow save it. He's down to P9. Again, he does have a time penalty, so if that would finish right now as they are, he would finish behind Piggy. So still, they would be ahead of him, but he has to be careful and look out for any possible situations like that to avoid them in the future. In the meantime, Keyboard Magnussen made a move, and he's now back up into P3.
Yeah, I do think Lepson needs to try and think about being P4 coming onto the last lap, as we're going 3 wide down the strip with Horizon, Veer and Piggy, and Horizon is up into P8. Piggy has had an interesting race because he's not had as much pace as we thought he would. He's been dropping down pretty consistently, and he's sort of reached a stalemate at this point down in P10, but he will be P9, maybe even P8 if he can overtake his teammate as he pits anyway. As Eversnacks gets back past Keyboard, which is interesting, because you've not got much battery. Why would you overtake here and then have to use it to defend on the main straight again?
No idea.
Oh, John Wick's crashed!
Ooh.
Oh no! He was in
And
P2!
the whole race flipped inside out, as it's a full safety car with couple of laps to go. John Wick had the second place in the bag, and it's gone. It's all gone away. Verge will be fuming. He was in a safe win situation. Nothing could have touched him, and it's now all gonna be starting from zero, as Verge will be restarting the race from the safety car in a couple of laps. Eversnux gets up to second, Keyboard gets up to third, and Lepson in 4th. Listen up, Magnetic and Vlad Red will also rejoin the battle. This is gonna be amazing for the show. It's awful for Mercedes. John Wick has done the unthinkable. It was all safe and sound for them. This race seems to be coming to a calm end, and we have an absolute mayhem on the final moments as here comes Verge into the pit lane.
Oh, Lepson stays out.
Lepson stays out. It's gonna be a risky move, but he's definitely trying to think about it. Okay, it's gonna be probably 1 lap of racing. I'm gonna have ERS like anyone else. There will be no DRS, so might as well stay out, because on these straights, those tires will not make too much of a difference. These tires will give you a huge advantage in the corners, but in Vegas, the straight is where you want to have the most amount of pace. And Lepson might be making a quite good decision with this one, because all he has to do is just hold off Verge for a couple of corners and then burn the battery on the straights to keep the lead. This could be a great decision from Lepson. I mean, I don't think he's going to lose too many positions, because he was, what, P4? So I don't think he's going to lose 3 positions in 1 lap, despite having worse tires. This is going to be a great finish.
As the sphere looks on with its eyes always watching. And yeah, John Wick spun out of this corner on the left, which is very bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever do that before. Maybe a moment of lack of concentration, perhaps. But he's out, he can't do anything about it now, and it will mean that we will have a winner. We don't know who it's going to be. Horizon has stayed out too as well, so he will be a spanner in the works with having his penalty. And there will be just 1 lap of racing.
I don't know what's going to be happening in McLaren, because Horizon is at P3 with the penalty on all the tires. I guess I don't know if they're going to be working together, because if they will, that's a great situation for Eversnacks. He can just overtake Horizon, who is, let's be honest, not going to defend from him.
Oh!
And then he can just hold off everybody else. It's going to be 2 laps of racing. Oh, that's going to make it even more interesting and even worse for Lepson.
Yeah, Lepson was not thinking about this. He was thinking, we're going round again, and I'm just going to have to defend on the strip with a full battery. Not to be. Although maybe it gives him an opportunity. If he can just stay behind Verge and make the overtake on the last lap, he could win.
Look at the Max Verstappen. Yes. Look at everybody going side by side. Everybody trying to stay as close as possible. Not running up in straights, but trying to be alongside each other. As Lepson has to make a very, very good restart. He has to gain at least something from that restart. If he doesn't make a huge advantage right off the gate, it's going to be GG, and Verge is going to go chasing right after him, and there he goes up into full speed. Verge didn't allow himself to get caught underneath him. Horizon had a worse restart, but it's a great restart from Verge, who is sticking up behind Lepson. Magnetic gets a 3-second time penalty as Eversnacks does overtake his teammate, and now Horizon is pushing Magnussen, trying to hold off the kick Sauber. Here comes Magnussen on the left side, up into P4, does get the job done, now hunting down Eversnacks as Horizon is getting attacked by Vlad Red, and he does get overtaken by the Alpine for the P5, and he's gonna keep on losing positions while Lepson trying to hold on to the lead. And here comes Verge. The Alpine is right behind the Ferrari, and so is Eversnacks and Keyboard Magnussen. This is anyone's race to win right now, depending on how long will Lepson hold on to the lead and what are the other gonna do. Verge knows he has to make this pass as soon as possible. The longer he waits, the more chances he creates for Eversnacks, Keyboard, and Vlad Red. He has to make it ASAP, but Lepson does not make it easy for him, burning down the battery on the straight.
He should concede the position, Lepson. He wants to be P2 on the last lap. Come on, this is the path to win for Lepson. Let Verge pass, defend from Eversnacks, and remake the overtake on the last lap. He's got a clear path, but he can't let Verge get too far ahead as Keyboard Madison down the inside of Eversnacks. Is he going to take the last podium position? It's so close. He does. And Eversnacks now, along with Vlad Red, who's off. There's been an incident there between those two. Right, Lepson, this last lap, 6/10, DRS enabled. He will have DRS on the last lap coming into the strip with Keyboard Madison almost a second behind him. He has to make sure he has DRS. He will have almost a full battery. He's got to use it here. He has to do everything he can Lepson, but the
It's impossible.
softs are so
Impossible.
fast.
Yeah, Verge is pulling away incredibly well. Lepson is doing everything he's got to try to stick the fight to the win all the way to the end, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Verge just keeps on pulling away, burning the whole battery down right now. Lepson doing everything he's got, but it's not gonna be enough with Keyboard Magnussen having Eversnax right on his back. It's gonna be so entertaining as they reach the finish line. Verge is pulling away over 1.5 a second right now, so he's safe if he doesn't make a silly mistake like John Wick did. Verge is heading for that win. Lepson defending TP2 and Keyboard Magnussen spreading out his elbows, trying to deny Eversnax his podium. Magnetic has a penalty. He's not in the fight for podium, but Piggy is also lurking behind. They're waiting for
and
mistake.
Keyboard doesn't have any ERS, so Lepson will be perfectly fine here. And it's Eversnax who's going to make the overtake. Will he get the final podium place? It's very close. You see what happened the last time Eversnax went side by side through this corner, but it's clean this time. But here comes Eversnax. Is Keyboard going to be able to make this overtake? Yes, again, he's not. It's Virtue wins. It's a fantastic drive from him. And a great decision by Lepson to stay out under the last safety car. He thought it'd be 1 lap. It was 2, but it didn't matter. He kept onto P2, which you'd have to say is more than he could have done without the safety car. So a great decision by the Ferrari driver. It's Eversnax who rounds out the podium, and Keyboard Magnussen in the 4th. I think he'd be pretty disappointed with that after leading the race. But Piggy up to P5. We were saying how difficult his race has been. He gets a top 5 finish, so that's good for him. And Chief in P8, he'll be very pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, what a finish. The race maybe wasn't a 10 out of 10, but that finish was quite something. And John Wick has definitely got to have the Bottle of the Year title after this one. That was the most easy P2 he could have gotten thanks to amazing work of Magnetic, his teammate, but he completely threw it away with an individual mistake, which of course mistakes can happen, like someone can ram you off the road. This will happen in a multiplayer race, but he made this mistake all by himself, and that's what makes it even worse. And Magnetic, he made everything he could to somehow bring it back, but he only manages to scrap P7 for Mercedes. And yeah, great decision from Lepson, like you said, to stay out, because I mean, if there would have been 1 lap of racing only, Lepson realistically would have most likely won this race. But the fact there was 2 laps, that's what denied him the race win. I was pretty sure myself that it's gonna be a 1 lap of racing on the final lap, like we're gonna get a restart on the final lap, but it turned out we had a restart very much early on. A lot of great comeback drives that weren't spoken loudly enough were Vertier, who went from P17 all the way up into P6, Ocean Chief from P16 up into P8, Futuristic from P14 up into P9, and Aiden from P12 up into pointing position. So it's gonna be tough to pick a driver of the day, honestly. We're gonna have to worry about that in later on, as we're gonna have to make that decision in a moment. But as of right now, the race is done and dusted. What a season opener we have had here in Vegas. And now it's a question of, is anybody gonna talk to us after the race? As we did had quite some moments that we would definitely like to ask the drivers about. But will they come and show themselves? Yeah, we do have Futuristic, Lepson, and Verge all waiting in an interview section. So, how about we begin with the race winner, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just bring him in, and let's get this done. Hello, Verge.
Hello.
So, that was quite the race, and let's be honest, the finish definitely pumped your blood a bit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it did. Actually, I was scared to lose the P1 after the safety car came.
Yeah, I mean, the whole race was quite a story, but that finish was definitely difficult. Were you thinking for even a second to pull off Lepson and just not pit? Were you that confident in your pace and fresh tires that you will definitely overtake him? Or were you like, well, he's most likely going to come into the pits as well, and you were just not expecting him to pull off this maneuver? What was behind that?
Yes, I was actually I was not expecting him to go through. Like I was expecting because I was like 14 seconds in front of P3.
Mhm.
After P2 after that John crashed, but I was expecting that Lepson would pit also, or the second or the third. And yeah, I was quite scared after I saw him run through.
Yeah, you had a great pace tonight in Vegas, arguably the best pace. I mean, you are the winner, but on your own, you had a great pace just running through this track. Do you enjoy racing in here? Because it definitely seems like it.
Well, I had a pretty much bit of practice. So yeah, after last night tier 1, I enjoyed it over there.
Hmm.
And
Okay, nice one. So, congratulations on your win here tonight. And as I'm trying to take a look at the calendar, the next race for Tier 2 in Season 16 will be Singapore. At least it should be Singapore. So, how do you feel about this track? What are your feelings on it?
I have no clue. I didn't drove the track
Ooh.
yet at 24 F1 24, and I just has to had to have to practice to be in the to come in the feeling.
Okay, all right. So, again, congratulations on your win here tonight, Verge. Thank you for your time here with us. And good luck. Hopefully, you'll have just as well race as you had tonight next week in Singapore.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we also have Futuristic, Lepson, and Eversnacks. Let's now bring in Mr. P2, who is a Ferrari driver. So let's bring him in. Hello.
Hello. Ooh, that
So
was
that
Oh
fun.
was
dear.
quite the decision, huh?
Yeah, I had to do something, right? Like, I mean, I made the mistake a lot in the past to pit and just came out behind like slower people on old hards or something, you know.
Hmm.
So I was like, I saw everybody pit. I think I rather decide to pace than that
Hmm.
I'm going behind the guys. So
Yeah,
yeah, it worked out.
were you expecting like a one lap race finish, or were you expect because we were thinking that
Ooh.
safety car is gonna come out like before the final lap, and you had 2 laps of racing. So were you expecting 1 or 2 laps on the final after the safety car came in?
I think if the safety car is not driving still the third lap before the end, uh, it's like going another lap. But if it's
Hmm.
driving, like it's going in, it's gotta have 2 racing laps, I think. So yeah, I
Hmm.
was expecting to that it will come in, but yeah, I think I helped the rest of the field to catch up with my slow restart. So. Huh?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
had to, right? You guys know, like I had to, right? Like I
Yeah, yeah.
cannot go full throttle and give the guy slipstream, you know. But yeah,
Yep. And about these moments where you were driving behind keyboard and Eversnacks, were you just holding back and looking at them
yes.
two fighting because you were like planning to capitalize after a mistake, or were you just like thinking I'm not gonna risk going in between them, or were you just not fast enough to overtake them? What was the plan in there? What was the idea?
Nah, I was almost driving with full ERS behind them, you know, because
Mhm.
like I, it doesn't matter if you're driving in front of the train or at the rear of the train. Like
Mhm.
they're gonna catch up either way, and I was not fast enough to gap them, so then yeah, I might as well stay behind the train, right? So and they
Yeah.
were sending it on places, and like that was not smart in my opinion. Like the battling, like yeah. I mean, if you're in a DRS train, you're not gonna send it in the middle chicane, you know. Like I didn't get it, but yeah, I was just looking around a bit and chilling and hoping I could do something on the last lap. So yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
worked out. I'm happy, and I want to congratulate Wurch. I'm very proud of him. He made a lot of big steps, and now he won finally his first league race ever. So yeah, props to him,
Mhm.
man. So
Yeah. Absolutely great one. Any more questions for our guest Joel?
No. I mean,
I'm
Okay.
on
no,
a,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm really thankful for Joel. He's our hero's on without a cape today, so he saved the day and with streaming. he was planning on giving me a run for my money again, like yesterday, right, Joe?
Yeah.
There was some battling in the race. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
Alright.
No worries.
So
Thank you for your time.
I think we have somebody still.
Yeah,
I
we have
wanna-
Ever Snacks and Futuristic
yeah,
to go. So we'll get
yeah,
down to them. So thank you,
very good,
Lepson.
guys.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
guys. Same to you guys.
See you
Thank you.
next week.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye bye. So let's get Ever Snacks next, and I will get Futuristic. Hello.
Good day.
Good day to you indeed. So that was quite the fight against that guy, huh?
Whew, that was an exciting race, yeah. I can't say it any other way. I think I was fighting Keyboard Mac for
Yeah.
a good like 70% of that race.
Yeah, I mean, when the final safety car popped out, like, what were your feelings, your emotions? Because you are doing this whole battle, and then it's like, we're going once again, rewind time, restart. What were you thinking during those moments?
Honestly, I was quite happy. We had people behind us, and I wasn't sure if I could hang on to the position because my mediums were also starting to wear. They really don't last very long. So I was actually quite happy about the safety car. I always knew that I was going to pit. I think it was the right strategy call there. And yeah, I think that could have even been a P2 if I had managed to keep Keyboard Mac behind at the end. Because I think Lepson, he was in the hards, and his hards were worn as well. I was on completely fresh softs from quali. I hadn't even used them. So yeah, I think there were more chances there than I used, but I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was a very good drive and a very great fight that we were able to watch. So I highly recommend rewatching that on stream because that was quite a good one. And next week you guys are going to be battling at the Singapore track. How do you feel about this one?
See, Singapore is a weird one. I don't think I've driven it yet on this game, so I can't really talk too much about it. But I always used to hate Singapore. It used to be like one of those tracks I don't ever want to drive. But then I think it was like 2 seasons ago. I did a few laps around Singapore and I noticed, hey, I'm actually quite fast here. So if I still have that pace around Singapore, I'm actually quite confident. But you know, these guys, John Wick, Wirtz as well, if he's racing, they're just quicker than me. So if I have a good track, I think I can challenge them. So I'll have to hope that I still know how to drive.
If they finish the race.
Well, that's actually a fair point. I've been doing my best to just kind of back out of some battles. I think I gave position to Keyboard Mac twice because I just wasn't gonna go for a risky overtake. Yeah, I think the play is to just drive consistently, and then you've got good chances of getting some points like today.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Ever Snacks, for your time here with us. Good luck next week at the streets of Singapore, and thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye bye. And we have a final guest waiting for us that is Futuristic. So let's bring him in. Hello.
Hello.
So, quite a race, huh?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, my race was even over before it even
I mean, you
started.
went on.
What?
Yeah, I mean, what happened there? Because we didn't saw the whole picture, but what happened there exactly?
Well, it started in qualifying when I was starting my last Q run. I knew I didn't have a good first or bank lap, so I knew I could improve a lot. But because of a bad rejoin even before the lap started, I couldn't even make turn one, and then the race was ended in exit of turn one. I got hit in the rear and in the front, and fucking doing some ping pong ping pong shenanigans.
Yeah, that is quite a shame that it happened. I mean, there were some good moments and some bad moments. Of course, you had some of the worst moments in this GP. Like, not everybody enjoys the circuit that is Las Vegas, but we're also gonna have Singapore next week. Which one do you prefer? Because we just done with Vegas, we're gonna Singapore next week. Which one are you more of a fan of?
With the history, I think Singapore for me is a better track, but on this game is it feels like it's a bit more RNG. The tracks that I've been good on in the past is pretty now where I'm bad at, and vice versa. So I flip a coin every week and hope and pray for points.
No worry, mate. Your time will come. Everybody does. I mean, before the race, not a lot of people expected that Keyboard Magnussen will be one of the guys to fight for the win, honestly, but he did. So eventually, everybody time will come to shine. It's a matter of
Well,
time
he's
and
already won a
practice.
race, so
Yeah. So everybody will have
easy.
their moments. Don't worry. It's all coming together. So, Futuristic, thank you for your time. Unless you want to say something as well, then we might just as well wrap it up because it's been quite a time already.
Or sing something.
I only sing when I win, so
Ah,
I
yeah,
might be here
Okay.
for a
fair
while
enough.
for
Fair enough.
wait for that. But yeah, thank you
Okay,
for that.
thank you.
Bye.
All right, and we're gonna be wrapping up what I believe is a season opener because I just looked at
It's
the
not.
calendar and you were right. It was round one
I
in
was at
Bahrain. But
Bahrain last week, okay?
yeah, but there are no results, no nothing. I'm like,
Blame
what
the
is going on?
admins.
And the stream is also advertised on the picture like round one, and the title of the stream
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have a
weird.
round number, so I was so
Something
confused.
weird's going
Yeah,
on in
hopefully
the
we'll get full
universe.
results. Hopefully we'll get full results before round 3 because I want to know who's actually leading the championship. Because I was thinking it's Verge, but now I have no idea because I don't know what happened in Bahrain and I don't know who's the championship leader. So yeah, we might. I mean, we need to get those results fixed ASAP.
We
But
need
yeah,
them.
there will be more to do from our side.
Yes. So, come back. Maybe tomorrow, depending on whether we have streaming for F2 or not. If not, next week, or on Wednesday for Tier 1, Thursday for Tier 2, and then Friday for F2, which will start. And F2 is always very exciting. Because it's equal car. Well, it's always equal cars, but you know what I mean. Slow cars. And people haven't done much practice, so anything could happen. Even Joel could win. That would be insane. So we will see you next week.
Absolutely.
Goodbye.